With that said, we'll start with Parasite versus The Favorite. Todd, you are up first. How are you feeling on this matchup?
So this was really tough for me because The Favorite is one of my favorite movies, period. I noticed and I rewatched it for this vote. And one thing that Parasite... Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that Parasite does not have is the fastest duck in the city, Horatio. And that's a big problem for me. There's no scene with men throwing fruit at a naked man with a
Great
scene. So there's some problems for me there starting off, but I rewatched them, and as much as I love The Favorite, I'm still just going to go with Parasite. It's the first foreign film people are going to watch for the next 20 years at least, and it's just amazing, and everybody loves it, including myself, and I think we'll be talking about it more this episode. But so my vote is Parasite.
Nice. Then Adrian, you are up next. Where are you going on this?
All right, so I recently watched The Favorite, and I gotta say, I wasn't really expecting it to be as funny as it was, or as like with all that subversive comedy and all that. But I'm gonna have to still go with Parasite, and part of the reason is I think that The Favorite will draw a lot of people to learn more about Queen Anne and that triangle that was going on. I wouldn't necessarily call it a love triangle because I don't know if you guys know this, but that movie is not historically accurate at all. There's a lot of...
Wait, are you telling me the fastest duck in the city?
So that part might have actually been true.
Emma Stone wasn't back then? She wasn't...
wasn't back then.
Yeah, she wasn't back then. I'm not even sure if she's now, but to be honest, like The Favorite has a lot of great moments in it, but Parasite is a lot more grounded, and it does it in a great way. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Parasite.
Nice. So we'll move on to Angelis. You can do vote. Where are you going? Because it's 2-0 Parasite right now. Looking bad for The Favorite.
Yeah, it's looking bad for The Favorite, which makes me sad because it's a movie I really like as well. I really like Yorgos as a director, so The Favorite's a movie I really enjoy, but I also have to go with Parasite because, like they say before, it's a movie that it's gonna have a lot more recognition, and it's just like it's so awesome watching it unravel, and it's just amazing. I have to go with Parasite with this.
All right, nice. Theo, you are up next. We have Parasite versus The Favorite. Is this possibly the? I guess it wouldn't be the nail in the coffin because we have 8 people voting. But where are you siding here?
Yeah, it's tough because The Favorite genuinely is, I think, one of the best films I've seen. I very much like it. Very big fan, but I mean, it's Parasite, you know? So I gotta vote Parasite.
That's gonna become a catchphrase. It's just Parasite. It's not really much.
Matt, you actually get the nail in the coffin if you want it, because you're up next.
Wow, this is a lot of pressure. Well, to the too long didn't read version, TLDR, Parasite, hands down. Totally, it's wonderful film, perfectly crafted. I could say, beautiful script, screenplay's amazing, acting's fantastic. Bong Joon-ho's direction is great. I don't know what about The Favorite because I really loved The Lobster. Like that's a really wonderful dystopian, dark sci-fi comedy. I'm not sure what Lanthimos did different, but I just don't feel as connected with The Favorite. I don't know if it's in its presentation. I don't know if that's weird fisheye lens thing that he did, which I appreciate on an aesthetic level, but okay then. All right. It's just personally in between the two films.
Go fisheye, I like.
It's just I prefer Parasite personally. It's just a better film for me personally.
Nice. Then Parasite will take the victory. Lindsay and Turtle, would y'all have gone differently?
No, I would have gone Parasite.
Same, Parasite.
Wow. Okay, Parasite with the clean sweep this time. Man. Which, funny enough, as much of a force as Parasite has been, it is yet to sweep technically, because I voted for Roma against it last round, and then before that it went against a nail biter in Ladybird. It was a crazy Elite 8 match or a round of 32 matchup. Oh, but we'll move on. This one's kind of close. We got 7 people, so there's no way this one ends in a tie. Adrian, I'll let you go first. We have the marital battle, as we doffed it before. We have Barry Jenkins with Moonlight versus Lulu Wang with The Farewell. Adrian, where are you leaning towards with this matchup?
So I also just watched The Farewell, and surprisingly enough, I'm going to have to go with that over Moonlight. It was very poignant, very sad, but very funny. It's just a movie that most people are going to watch and identify with it in some way. I think Moonlight does that really well too. I just had a more enjoyable experience with The Farewell. So that's my vote. Yeah, no, I had different experiments with Moonlight, but that's a different story.
Theo, you're up next. Where are you leaning in this very, very close matchup?
Oh my god. No, this is so hard. Probably the hardest matchup I'll ever have, actually. Well, yeah, I feel like it's so hard because I think that both are incredible works. Both are probably 2 of my favorite films I've seen. Both are, like, stylistically, I think they're just incredible, and there's a lot of content and there's a lot of, like, scope and reach that they both have in terms of, like, speaking to a lot of people who may, like, not normally see themselves represented. And I feel like I have to edge out, and I'm gonna vote Moonlight, even though I do like The Farewell personally more. So I feel like Moonlight might be a smidge objectively better, maybe. I don't know, but I have to vote for it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Both these movies are awesome.
No, I love both. Like,
yeah,
it's such a hard vote. This is probably the hardest matchup.
Right up so far. Matt, you get to break the tie for now. Which way are you going? I mean, I guess you could pick both, but be a
is that an option?
Oh.
Wow. I do really like both films. I recently watched The Farewell, and it's a fairly good piece. I watched Moonlight a bit ago, and that's a good film. Both are deeply personal stories about identity and struggles with said identity. Are you a real man? Are you more American or Chinese? What is your culture? Who are you as a person? Where do you belong? Mm-hmm. Both are really great films, but this decision really just comes down to a personal preference. And Moonlight just has the slightest edge over The Farewell. It's a very tiny slight edge. I just really enjoyed Moonlight. The colors in that movie are so beautiful. It's just the purples, the blues, like the turquoise, whatever other colors were in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful film to look at. The Farewell is a really great film.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna comment. Like, wasn't each chapter, section, part? I don't know. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Didn't each one have like a color balance to it? Like one was blue, one was
I think
like
so.
that turquoise,
if I remember right,
and then the last one was purple almost. I may be confusing something. Maybe I'm just remembering the poster more than.
You're right. Each has a different color palette that it chooses to go with.
Sorry, random aside.
No, you're fine. I was just thinking. I'm up next, but I'm going to tie this back up. Enjoy Moonlight again. This as far as it's been going in the tourney. I really enjoy the fact that like tons of people have gravitated to this film. and have found something masterful. But for whatever reason, it just doesn't grab me the way it does others. Whereas The Farewell, I think, is legitimately one of the best movies of the decade. And I get that's kind of weird if we have a Parasite versus The Farewell matchup, because those are both 2019 releases. 2019 was good towards the top. But I'll let Lindsay go. You get to unbreak the tie.
Yeah, I guess I'm going Moonlight. It's just one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my whole life. I also love The Farewell deeply. But Moonlight changed cinema for me. It's just such an important movie, and it means so much to me, and it means so much to so many people that I have to go with Moonlight.
Nice. And this might be curtains. I'm not sure. But Turtle, where are you going on this matchup?
I have to agree with some of my colleagues here. Again, it is just a personal pick because I think The Farewell is just an excellent movie. It really connected with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Lulu Wang does in the future. But it has to be Moonlight because, as Matt alluded, it's going for a thing. It has concepts. It is going for cinematic poetry, and it's working. And it's working so well that it's stuck with me since I've watched it, and it is the film for me. So hey, you have the winner.
I think that does it. But Todd, where would you have gone here?
I vote turquoise, so I go Moonlight. I was gonna go Moonlight. So
nice. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I didn't know where Matt was going. I didn't know where Matt or Theo was going. Prior to that, I was like, okay, this might be down to the wire. But as soon as I heard Moonlight from Theo, I knew.
I know.
I do think
it was hard.
I do
Hardest
think
decision.
The Farewell should have gotten more attention than it ended up getting, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Until you guys brought this up during this tournament, I had never heard of this movie. So it did not.
Whoa.
Yeah, it did not get.
That's what I mean.
never-
A ton of people
better.
I understand sort of why A24 went with Uncut Gems as okay, this is what we're gonna push because it has Adam Sandler. They also pushed Midsummer, The Lighthouse, and even kind of Waves more than The Farewell. And I was like, guys, but this is the one that is y'all's best.
I know they messed up. They messed up big time.
And
all
honestly,
good,
this
though.
was a good matchup. But
It really was.
Yeah, this
it
may have
worked
been one
out
of
to
the
be really
closest
good.
ones.
Well,
maybe not. But I think this was one of the
think-
most unsure ones, possibly.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're both so
The
great.
thing I was gonna. Sorry.
What? No, I'm just done.
The thing I was gonna throw out is maybe in 10 years from now, it'll be a really interesting debate of who's the better couple of directors, Lulu Wang and Barry Jenkins, or Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach.
Oh, I think we all know the answers.
We all know.
I just feel like Baumbach has it's weird because he has more films. You know what I mean? I could definitely see someone being.
I mean, Adam Sandler also has a lot of films, so.
Okay, let's calm down. All right, we'll move on to Over the Garden Wall versus Paddington 2, another matchup that I despise. Just because these are two very cute films that don't deserve to be going up against each other in this bloodbath of an Elite Eight. Angelis, you are up first. What is going to be your pick?
Okay. So I recently rewatched Paddington 2 with my mom. I have to say that Paddington 2 is one of the most tender and sweet movies I've seen. It also looks so good. The colors, the characters. I think someone said here before that it's like Grand Budapest Hotel meets Winnie the Pooh. And simply that sounds so amazing and sweet and happy, and the ending always makes me cry. But I think for me, Over the Garden Wall is just such an amazing piece. Uh, like with so many adult themes, like it tackles a lot of themes like depression, loss, and things like that, and it's just oh my god, it has turned so quickly one of my favorite movies. So 3 words: potatoes and molasses. That's it. I'm voting Over the Garden Wall.
I'll snap for potato molasses.
All right, Theo, you're up next. Where are you going with this matchup?
Oh man, this is hard because I recently watched Paddington 2 as well. And I'm so glad they had that little bit that filled me on the first movie because I may not have seen that yet. So, but the second one honestly actually exceeded my expectations. Like I kind of went in, and given what I've known, like I'm generally wholesomeness porn, as Todd described it, isn't like the biggest thing for me, and that's kind of what I went expecting. And it still kind of is that. Like there are bits where I'm like, okay, this is like good. It's not totally for me, but despite that, I was like, wow, this is just really good. Like I just can't. For me, it's just really hard to like deny that. So this is tough because I ended up liking Paddington 2 more than I expected. I think that there is like this dark edge to Over the Garden Wall that makes it feel surprisingly very holistic in all senses. And like I think Over the Garden Wall is a very complete picture, if that makes sense. And it's weird because I really truly did not expect that this would get this far in the tourney. And like, will this just be an Over the Garden Wall versus Parasite matchup? But,
Yes.
I'm gonna go Over the Garden Wall.
Perfect.
We haven't gotten to our fourth matchup yet.
I know. I was about to say there's a significant
It's true.
hurdle it has to climb.
Yes.
if it wins here.
I think for this one, I gotta go with Over the Garden Wall. But both are really good. On it, I was surprised how much I like both.
Okay, Over the Garden Wall taking the 2-0 lead. Matt, you are up. You save the bear, or are you going with the two others?
The
I
two
didn't-
others.
You know, Greg and Wirt, the two other guys.
Yeah, it was the whatever.
I'm just gonna go out and say that I didn't like Paddington 2 that much.
How dare you!
She's
Hold on, I have like half of an
Leave
essay
the
written
bear
here.
alone!
I have notes.
Alan.
Yes. Hello, 911.
I'm about to murder a bear real quick. Hold on.
I know it.
Right.
Oh, no.
The existence of a sequel implies that there's more to be said. Think of all of the great sequels. Aliens, Terminator 2,
Shrek 2.
Blade Runner 2049.
Aliens Rise of Gru.
Exactly. They have all expanded upon its characters and the universe and the world within the previous film. Paddington 2 just feels like a retread of the first. It doesn't feel that much distinct or different, and it doesn't really do interesting with any of its characters. The father went through an actual arc in the first movie, but in the second movie, he's back to where he started, with being insecure and overprotective of his family. The kid magically becomes confident in the end, and we get no work there whatsoever. It just doesn't feel like anything has changed. And if the film, all of it wants to be is cute, that's okay. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. Most family films tend to be cute. But cute is going up against a wonderful, personal, unique, and fun miniseries called Over the Garden Wall. The world is so unique, it's so childish and mature at the same time. The characters are so fun and distinct within each other. The music is so good and incredibly catchy. Its influences are wide and diverse, from Dante's Inferno, Phantom Tollbooth, Wizard of Oz, H.P. Lovecraft, Brothers Grimm fairy tales, and J.R.R. Tolkien.
my God.
All these influences are so unique and diverse. It works wonderfully as a really fun and entertaining children's series with its humor and style, and it works near perfectly as a complex story about death, fear, mortality, and reality. Over the Garden Wall feels like a warm blanket as the Halloween wind is blowing outside and the children are screaming for candy. Paddington 2 just doesn't hold a candle to it.
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah, just take
Drop
that
the
soundbite.
mic.
Just take that soundbite and put it up on the channel because that
Yeah.
was
Hey,
the
bro,
perfect encapsulation.
this bear in the alleyway is found beaten to death.
Two children and a frog.
Oh
Matthew
my
hates
God.
Paddington 2, not clickbait. That should be the title.
Not
I don't
clickbait.
hate it. It's just it's fine.
Matthew murders Paddington, not clickbait. Here
Not
we go.
They took part of my stuffing and they threw it over there. And then they took the other half and threw it over there.
I'll start the clip with Paddington being like, "Oh, hey there, friend," and then Matthew just going off.
I'm gonna take the woodsman's axe and just chop his head off.
Can you
Oh my
And at
gosh.
the end, you have to add an explosion, like a Michael Bay explosion to Paddington.
There we go.
This look, I don't agree that Paddington 2 is a lesser film. I think it. I don't know. For whatever reason, Paddington 1 just did not like mesh with me at all. Even though I get with what you're saying about the arcs. You don't get Paddington in jail changing all these people's perspectives to like accept kindness. I think that's sort of missing in the first film a little bit. I really respect the film Paddington 2 is. It's one of my favorite films of this entire decade. I went into it because it was so high on Letterboxd, thinking like, okay, similarly to what a lot of people were saying, it's like, oh well, what could this possibly be? It's just a cute bear. Like there's nothing else you can really do with that. And then just looked at me with that smile. And of course, I really dug it. That said, Over the Garden Wall is, like Matthew was alluding to, it's one of the best things ever made. It does handle a lot of darker themes, whereas Paddington 2 is more or less just kindness, which is definitely important, but I think Over the Garden Wall is able to do more. So because of that, I will now be rating only a possibility for a tie of this matchup, moving on to Lindsay with Over the Garden Wall as my pick.
Yeah. Not as harshly as Matt, but I do kind of agree with Matt.
Okay.
I do really like the Paddington movies. I'm not blown away by the Paddington movies. I think they're fun and they're cute, but I think Over the Garden Wall has a lot of edge over it. Just I think it's a way better like story and more complex and interesting and dark, and there's a lot that it explores in it. I think it's way better than Paddington 2, so I'm gonna go with Over the Garden Wall.
Nice. All right. So that does it. But Turtle, where would you have gone?
I honestly would have let the bear maul those children.
Jesus.
Represent your people.
Listen, like I hear what Matt's saying 100%, and I like soft agree with him.
Dang.
But
It's a very
I
soft
think
degree.
just a teeny bit soft agree. But like, I don't think Paddington 2 needs to necessarily add anything to the first one because I like both of them like about the same amount. Which is like great for a sequel, to be honest. Like as good as the first film is, like pretty great for a sequel. Like objectively, Over the Garden Wall is a better screenplay. Like yeah, and better in a lot of ways. But listen, the appeal of Paddington is not like to learn about mourning or whatever. It is not about like your repressed memories or whatever. It is just the appeal of Animal Crossing. It's just a nice place to be. You're just chilling
Turn
with
off
your
your
bud.
brain.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a metaphor for Animal Crossing being about capitalism or something.
I
Boy, I don't know if we should dive in there.
Do we want to go into politics?
I gotta.
I gotta head out. Hold up.
Yeah.
Oh man, Todd, were you going infamously coining the phrase "potatoes and molasses"?
Well, so here's the thing. Paddington 2 has been referred to as a warm hug, and those feel good. Over the Garden Wall was referred to as a warm blanket. I think blankets last longer and have greater utility.
Oh,
I love it.
metaphor.
Wow.
And so
The bear is already dead.
I go potatoes and molasses. Potatoes
No
and molasses.
potatoes and molasses.
Oh, man, Adrian, where would you have gone?
What can I possibly say at this point? That I mean, I don't. The bear's dead, and
Do you prefer the hog
Being
or the
buried
blank?
as we speak.
Winnie the Pooh and Corduroy are onlooking, watching, just in horror. I just, when I watched this movie, I thought to myself, why were people hating on Christopher Robin so bad when this is kind of the same kind of thing? I'm going to go with the Over the Garden Wall just because of kind of what I already said before, that it does things
Right.
with animation really well, and it's a poignant, nice film. So sitting down,
Nice.
Paddington 2 gently into the grave. Okay.
I have to say, I'm surprised by this because I thought Paddington 2 was gonna win, so I'm really surprised.
I did not think Paddington 2 would win.
I thought it was gonna win for real.
I've recorded with all of you when we've talked about Over the Garden Wall and Paddington. And I thought only Turtle would vote for Paddington 2.
And you're right.
I have to say,
And that's how it went.
When Hayden said "represent your people," oh my god, that was just an amazing.
Represent your people. Represent
Don't
your
do like a
people.
Les Mis revolution as like we shoot them down from the barracks.
Theo, this matchup may be a similar vein, but we'll see. Look, little engine that has been trucking along, starred up, and a wonderful story for this tourney. However, it goes up against Into the Spiderverse, a behemoth. Theo, you're up first. Where are you going here?
Oh man. So I did recently watch Startup with Anhais, and I now kind of see the appeal, and I'm like, oh yeah, wow, this is I think this is very deserving of being in this tourney and of making it quite far. But listen, it doesn't have the song Sunflower in it, so how could it be better than Spiderverse?
Oh my god.
Oh my
The man has a point.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, I mean, it's Spiderverse. So that's what I'm going with.
Matt, you have recently also seen Startup. Where are you going here? Please don't kill Startup like you did Paddington 2.
All right.
Please don't.
All right. Okay. All right. Startup is a really great commentary on toxic masculinity and fatherhood, but it's not Spider-Man. David Mackenzie beautifully wrote and directed a truly great film,
Oh my god.
but it's not Spider-Man. I don't know if it's my comic book upbringing and my intense knowledge and love for these characters, but I really love Spider-Verse. I recently rewatched it and thought it would still be great, but my opinion of it would lessen just a tiny bit. But my enjoyment remained pretty consistent, and it's still a pure-hearted, fun, entertaining, and fantastic film about identity and taking that leap of faith. This movie truly is streets ahead. So Spider-Verse.
Nice. We'll also be going the same route. I'm very sorry. Look, Startup is a wonderful film. Blake's the one that showed me it, and I'm so glad he did, because again, I do consider it to be like one of the best of the decade. But the problem is, like the previous two, it doesn't have Spooderman, so I can't. Maybe if they put Peter Parker in jail and he was British, then we could talk. But for now, I'm going Into the Spider-Verse, and I'll let Lindsay go.
Yeah, Startup is great. I'm really glad it made it this far, but Jack O'Connell has nothing on Spider-Man. Yeah, it's Spider-Verse, man. Like it's one of the best movies like ever, I think. So it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Verse, man.
All right, Turtle, you get the nail in the coffin here. Are you representing your people once more?
Oh dear. Wait. Which one? Okay, first off, hey, which one do you think I'm gonna vote?
I think you're going into the Spider-Verse.
Interesting.
Could be wrong. I don't know. I don't really know like your strong opinions on Startup, to be fair.
Okay. To be fair, I watched it like last week. I mean, Spider-Verse is just incredible in every sense on a technical level or an emotional level. But I think I have to pick Stardust. I think I have to go with my heart and say Stardust. I'm Stardust.
Stardust, yes.
Oh,
Stardust is a great movie.
definitely.
We have a write-in vote. We have a write-in vote.
Well, I can't believe it skipped the first 6
Return.
I
months.
can't believe Matthew Vaughn's 2007 film Stardust
I was about to say, I don't even think
made the
it's
tournament.
As it should.
Oh, it's winning.
That,
Yeah, it's
that
always-
film is actually very good. If we're
It's
talking
always the wild card. Stardust.
about, no one ever
It's a great
expects
movie.
Stardust.
No. But yeah, Startup is just it shocked me because it is unfortunately, like not unfortunately, it is just accidentally happens to be my kind of movie. It is about toxic masculinity. It is just about men, and like it's got a heart to it. And like it's just made interestingly enough that I just go, whoa. That bit where Jack O'Connell's like running up the stairs to chase his dad. I was telling Lindsay this, but I was just like, oh my god, that's just Hercules running up to Zeus, chasing up to Olympus. They're gonna fight.
Oh. I like the allegory here.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
Mythology.
It's just such an interesting movie for me. It is exactly my kind of movie. And Spider-Verse, while being the greatest animated movie in the world, just can't compete with that, I guess.
Very nice. Turtle going back to back British picks.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
With Startup, put on life support from Turtle. Todd,
I know this
hey,
is
what
so
are you voting here?
No, this is so exciting because I thought it was going to be over, and then I wouldn't have the chance to kill Startup. So
No.
Oh my god.
Go
Oh
off, Todd.
god.
You guys
Go
are.
off.
I think Startup is a fine movie, but I would have voted against it in every level of this tournament. I think it's fine. And I think it's going against one of the best animated films and maybe one of the best films ever. And so goodbye. I'm see you later. So yeah.
Wow.
Todd is unplugging the life support. And just
Todd is slowly looking to Startup's eyes as he unplugs the cord.
Yeah.
I wanted to be
Over
the
the
one
head.
to end you. Gosh. Oh man. All right. Adrian, where would you have gone here?
Boy. I guess there's no chance of me plugging that cord back in, but either way, I kind of identify with what Todd said. Like, this is not a fair matchup.
If Startup was going up against Moonlight or The Farewell or something of that nature, then I would have voted for Startup. Because again, this is a movie I watched very recently, but it is pretty incredible for what it is. For like, if you were just given the IMDb description of what this movie is, it'd be like, oh, okay, whatever, it's fine. But I've loved all of the perspectives that have been given on this movie. And again, thank you guys for bringing this into focus, because I wouldn't have discovered this movie without this tournament. But unfortunately, I'm still going to have to go with Into the Spider-Verse for all the reasons that I've said before. Incredible animated movie. I'm going to have to disagree a little bit with Turtle. I wouldn't say it's the most amazing animated movie ever made, but
That's fine.
Oh,
Nightmare Before Christmas has
contentious.
its place.
That
Um,
is fair. That
What?
is completely
Oh.
fair.
This is a
Wow.
different tournament.
Another write-in vote.
Martin wins the
Lily.
Decade in Review tourney.
No,
Oh,
Into
man.
the Spider-Verse is my vote for all that it matters.
Angelis, would you also have gone Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes, I recently watched with you Startup, and I agree. It's a really intense drama about dominance and fatherhood and masculinity, toxic masculinity. But Spider-Verse was like the best theater experience I had ever. And it's just such an amazing animated movie. The textures, the everything. The soundtrack is amazing. I'm not even a big superhero fan, but it's just an amazing movie in every level. So yeah.
Nice.
Great
All right,
start.
that's gonna conclude the Elite Eight. So moving into the final four, we got Parasite, Moonlight, Over the Garden Wall, and Into the Spider-Verse.